Welcome back, everyone. It's Stray Faye with another episode of Cafe Enchante. We're in Canus's Route, Chapter 3. We learned a lot of things, and we always learn a lot of things in every chapter, but we did learn some disturbing things about the seemingly peaceful world of the fairy world Medio. It appears that all the nature-esque stuff, the Great World Tree, is actually consuming, it looks like, both Titania and her fellow fairies for sustenance, I'm guessing. Maybe we'll learn more about why. So it's a little disturbing. And it looks like it's like Canus's job in order to like slay fairies for that purpose. But anyway, let's continue. There was a quake strong enough to shake all of Medio and Yggdrasil devouring of fairies. Something is definitely happening. Even as I run, I carefully keep an eye out for any other abnormalities, but so far, outside of the confusion among the fairies, there's nothing unusual. And by the time I rush over, an exhausted Titania is being nursed by Venia. Ugh. Titania! Canus. Do not worry. I just feel a little weak. It does feel a little awkward coming back after Venia told me he did not want to see me. But right now is not the time for more arguing. Venia's not in a good mood. Venia silently reacts to my inquisitive look. Though it was only for a brief moment, it was reported that the whole-like structure opened near the trunk of Yggdrasil. It was as if it was trying to gouge a piece of Yggdrasil. So that was the cause of the quake. And judging by Titania's condition, Yggdrasil tried to take Titania's life. Yes, the wounded World 3 must have tried to heal its wounds by using Sister as source of sustenance. Even if we tried to convince Yggdrasil that the wormhole was a random occurrence, the World 3 will never accept it. Yggdrasil will certainly think, as it did 500 years ago, that it was a foreign attack. The same as 500 years ago. If so, what is bound to happen? Do not worry about me. But the problem is what comes next. Best case scenario, I am the only one who has to suffer any kind of injury. Unfortunately, that is not the case. I tell them what I saw earlier. Then the two of them grow pale. The fairies were eaten by Yggdrasil. Are you certain of this? Yes, I am certain. If I recall correctly, you just gave an offering a week ago, right? Right. Normally, Yggdrasil would be satiated for at least a month with that offering. But it continued to feed, which can only mean one thing. It was insufficient. Perhaps that is the reason. Considering the aftermath of this, it only makes sense for Yggdrasil to consume more life. If true, there is no avoiding it. What happened 500 years ago is about to happen again. Either we wait for Yggdrasil to be satisfied, or I understand the meaning of his gaze. I shall bring death upon more fairies. As the Fairy of Death, and offer those lives to Yggdrasil. I understand. Why? All we desire is a peaceful life. Yet, why must it be so difficult to achieve? Is it the wormhole that gouged Yggdrasil, or Yggdrasil itself that we should fear? Or rather, the fate that caused these two events? I don't know the answer to that. Either way, what has already happened cannot be undone, sister. Disaster is imminent. It is unfortunate that today is the day the peace we thought we had has disappeared. But what's today? Pardon me for a moment. Canus, can I leave my sister with you?
I don't mind, but where are you going?
I will inspect the damage Yggdrasil took. Verifying the damage is the only way to obtain accurate information.
Then I'll...
Do not bother. Please look after my sister. Even though things have settled down now, I do not want her passing out again. Besides, you both should reconsider what our best plan of action is. Oh god. No matter how much I sacrifice, no matter the weight of the murder you carry, one single misfortune, a single wormhole, can move the world tree to chaos, to feed on countless fairy brethren. Once Medio walks away, Titania's voice loses some of its strength. Oh, this is from like way back. As I recall the reason and the tragedy, I lower my head as I once did when I made that vow to her.
The reason I was born was to protect this fairy world as a knight and to prevent possible tragedies.
The words spill out naturally.
I was born as the Fairy of Death to all living things on Medio.
Canus.
I do not know what to do now. But I know what I must do from now on. In order to restore peace to Medio, if Yggdrasil hungers for sustenance, I have no choice but to feed it.
I'm sorry. Had I been able to fulfill my duties as the Fairy Queen, as a World Tree Bride.
You have no need to apologize. It does not change what I must do. It is just as usual. This is simply part of my daily routine.
Yes. I feel like I've said something similar to her. You said it's daily life, but why is it that you are in such pain?
No, I am not in any pain.
Canus?
No, I'm okay. I will take action immediately. I will report back to you shortly.
I exit the Nexus and I am overwhelmed with the amount of blood red foliage. Can you really do it? The leaves shuffling in the wind ask me. Those innocent fairies. And even more so, your own heart. Can you really do this?
Stay focused, Canus Espada.
I swing at the shadows formed by dawn and continue walking with my sword in hand. Do not think of it. Not now. Do not give in to Kotone's kindness. The only time I should be thinking about her is when I'm at that cafe. For now, just focus on the task at hand. Right. Don't think about it. Once this is all over, I can take the time to determine whether I have the right to see her. With all this blood on my hands. Alright, we going back? Is this Kotone's perspective again, or someone else's? That day, Karya Abe is visiting the GPM headquarters for scheduled testing. The testing concluded without issue, and on the way home... Oh, I almost forgot, Karya. Are you going to Enchante after this? That's the plan. Let me guess. Are you trying to make me get a sample from Miser and the gang again? Ha ha ha! What do you mean again? You make me sound like a mad scientist. Well, that's like the only way I can see you. I do want to study them too, but this time I want you to hand this to Rindo. What is this? A hard drive? USB stick? It's more information related to Yggdrasil. I just finished it a minute ago. There's a lot of crucial data in there, so please remember to hand it to him. But man, oh man, I never knew that the fairy world Medio was such a dangerous place. You should be careful whenever you visit. Huh? Alrighty, Koo. Now that I'm off work, let's go grab an early dinner. Let's see which restaurant we should go to. Can't go wrong with a nice evening view. Hang on, hold on a sec. Mikado, what did you mean by that? Are you curious? I don't blame you for a second. In response to Karya's momentous inquiry, Mikado speaks up with agreement. I'm sure you already heard of it from Rindo, but based on my analysis, it's been discovered that the world tree of the fairy world Medio originates from plant life on Earth. That's what he said, like, what, chapter ago? 2 chapters ago? Oh god, sorry. That went down the wrong pipe. The Sigillaria? Sigillaria? That's the species of the ancient tree Yggdrasil is closely related to. Oh, we got a dictionary term. The Sigillaria itself has long since been extinct, at least in the human world, but... I'm gonna probably call this... Is it sigil or sigil? Sigillaria, also known as the seal tree, a giant tree is said to have grown in ancient times. When its large leaves fall, they would leave hexagon or rhombus-shaped marks on the trunk, resembling the sigil of a seal, thus giving it its name. Okay. However, even in the present day, various related species still exist, so it's undoubtedly a human world plant. In other words, no matter how much it has changed due to the effects of the fairy world, the basic biological characteristics, receiving sunlight, conducting photosynthesis, and requiring nutrients from land and water, to be no different from regular plant life. In fact, no matter how we look at it, The Yggdrasil's leaves still fit in within the definition of a plant. However, I've arrived at one problem. There are limits to how much a life can grow. One of the theories, the extinction of dinosaurs, explains the difficulty of nourishing their giant bodies. Then what about the world tree? Even if Medio has distorted its growth, it's hard to believe that a world-engulfing plant can sustain itself with just water and sunlight. In which case, there is only one thing I can think of. Yggdrasil undoubtedly receives nutrition externally. If so, what does the world tree feed on? Considering it sits at the top of the food chain in Medio. I think you get it now. That's right. Basically, the entire world of Medio, the home of the fairies, is probably Yggdrasil's feeding ground. Okay, that's back to Kotone's perspective. That's really bad. So, I'm guessing, yeah, so I guess it has to feed, I guess, to regenerate. If a wormhole, like, gouged out a piece of it, it's probably just trying to, like, eat extra fairies to, like, fix that. Let's see how this turns out. It's been about a week since Canus shut me down at Medio, the day after the regulars helped me out. Today is one of those rare days where no one has come to the cafe, so I'm in the backyard watering the plants. The showering water makes a rainbow. The colorful flowers that Canus usually waters. We're swaying lonesome, perhaps because he's not here. Having said that, what do you want to do? What do I want? The answer to Miser's question hasn't arrived after a whole day of thinking. There's so many feelings of uncertainty swirling around in my heart. The moment I try to make sense of them, they crumble away like sand. The answer is within my reach. The answer is right here inside of my heart.
So, please do not interfere any further. At least, that is how Lord Suwan was.
Even so, I'm afraid of being rejected. I tear up at my weakness and cowardice. When I was a child, there were so many things I wanted to do. And I was brave enough to express myself. But that strength after graduating from school and working at a local company, being crushed by the weight of reality, slowly disappeared. And before I realized it, I was surrounded by things I didn't want. Even though I tried to avoid them. I had forgotten my honest desires and wants of doing more. That's right. Until I took over as the owner of Enchante. I didn't just end up here. This is a place I chose. My Enchante. I repeat the words Rindo mentioned. The more I think, the more I realize Grandpa and the regulars are why I chose this place. Even when I took over, everyone encouraged me. I finally was able to reach out and do what I truly wanted to do. Will I be able to reach out again? What do I want to do? That is... I want to see Canus. Vocalizing my thoughts allow me to be honest with myself. But I just can't muster up the courage to broadcast these feelings to him. Pardon me. Huh? Venia? Sorry to intrude. Since I was not greeted on entry, I took the liberty of walking around alone. I'm so sorry. I didn't hear the doorbell ringing. I know I'm a little late, but welcome. I'll be right there once I wash my hands, so go ahead and have a seat and... What's the matter? Nothing. I'm simply impressed by this place. I guess this is the first time Venia has seen the backyard? While I watched his gently squinted gaze caress the flower bed. Feels as though I'm being praised. It's quite flattering. Heh, this flower bed is Canus's work. All those flowers all came from here. Canus looks after all these flowers. Doesn't fit his face at all. Not that he has a face. Heh, that Canus. He does look a little intimidating, but he's actually very delicate and caring. When I first met him, I judged him based on his looks. But now I know that Canus is a very kind person. The fact that he tends to these flowers every day so they don't wither. And how the townsfolk rely on him a lot, and how the children look up to him. Being able to mention any of those says a lot about his character. As I keep going on like this for a bit, Venia chuckles bitterly and squints. You've really observed Canus thoroughly. You think? Yes, you know more about him than my sister and I do. And we have spent centuries with him. That's not true. The words that just came out of my mouth sound somewhat timid. Because the only Canus I know is the Canus that frequents this cafe. Whatever he's going through is something I'm not allowed to get involved with. Having said that, I'm sure Venia won't understand what I'm talking about. But I can't stay silent about it. Then, it seems like Canus's rejection is getting to you, is it? Huh? But that headless knight. Don't interfere any further. There's probably a nicer way to say that. How do you know that? Could it be... Did Canus tell you? No, I was watching. The entire time, even when you cried. Not paying any attention to my shock, Venia lowers his shoulders. You're too earnest. You take every word too seriously and straightforward. If you have some business with Canus, then you should ignore everything he says. In order to get something done, you must first act. Isn't that right? But that's... It's not that easy. Acting without thinking will only... Well, would you rather keep things as they are and continue suffering? Those words, for some reason, sound like his temper is starting to seep out. Good grief. You, Canus, and sister are all so weird. You don't have the courage to change, and your fear of change keeps you frozen in place, waiting for the courage. And before you can realize it, it is already too late. I know that. Staying inside my head forever won't solve anything. But if Canus doesn't want that, then I can't just ignore that. Why? Why is that so wrong? Huh? When you think about it, Canus's rejection was ultimately of his own accord. You can and should do the same. Isn't that all there is to it? Well, Venia's words are awfully selfish. They are, but can't quite deny it either. At the very least, that's what I would do. You would? Even if the other person doesn't want you to, you would do what you want to do? Yes, that's what I intend to do. Even if the other person doesn't want me to, I know that I will continue on my way. Even if they end up hating me, I will find a way to change their mind. I would want my significant other to be happy. Nothing comes close to that feeling. Even if society deems it a selfish act. Venia smiles. Unlike his usual sarcastic smile, it is rather gentle. Kotone Awaki, do you disagree? Let's say we agree. I agree. As I vocalize my thoughts, I feel as though it gave me courage. No matter how Canus feels about me, I want to make Canus smile. I can't stand to see him not happy. Even though he's faceless. My feelings probably won't change. So, I want to see him and talk to him. Not as the owner of Enchante as he wants me to be, but as myself, just ordinary Kotone. Canus, why did you push me away? I want to meet him, face to face, and hear him out. Once I vocalize my true feelings, the winds carry my words through the flowers. Venia, my only audience, applauds my small outburst. It's like a confession of love. Next time, please say all that to Canus. Hey, don't make fun of me. Anyhow, glad you finally made up your mind. Now let's get going. Where to? Huh? Were you even listening? To Medio, of course. Come on, double time as they say. What? Right now? Well, wait. I need some time to mentally prepare. No need for that. Plus, if I leave you here, you won't have the opportunity to go to Medio until Karya visits the cafe. Oh, that's right. You're a weak mind. When given the chance, it will make you indecisive and dumb. You should act before you lose those gumptions. Any objections? I can't object. So mean. Feels like I've been forced into all this, but I decided to follow Venia's suggestion and start walking. In a rush, I change into my normal clothes. Leave a note to the absent regulars announcing the cafe's temporary closure. Then we make our way to the fairy world. Through the gate. Just as I did the first time I visited, I followed behind Venia. But unlike my first trip, from here we'll go around the roots. I suggest you don't look down. The road splits from here. Try not to get separated from me. What are you laughing about all of a sudden? What's so funny? Oh, nothing. It's nothing like that. It's just that, unlike last time, you're actually paying me some attention. I just feel like, compared to when we met, we've come a long way, you know? not like we're friends or anything. I just don't want you getting lost. His standoffish attitude doesn't change. Still, I think he's gotten a little soft on me. Yeah, even with when Venio was so cold, I've been able to get closer. So maybe I can with Canus too. Sorry, voice starting to get dry already. As I continue thinking of that, I suddenly notice something. Huh? Hey, Venia. Something wrong? Isn't Medio awfully quiet today? Usually there are fairies flying around every which way. They usually flock around me without having to say anything. But today, for some reason, not a single one. Oh. Suddenly, the world jolts. Ah! And with a jerking motion, the sounds of leaves shuffling against each other echo in the surrounding like breaking waves. What was that? Quiet. Stay calm. Eventually...
I'm scared! I'm scared! I'm scared! I'm scared! We have to run! We have to!
From the shaken branches, like a bird flying away, a lone fairy appears from between the leaves and soars to the sky. But in the fairy's path is a large, bulging branch, oddly shaped in the form of a tentacle. It swallows the fairy whole. Huh? What just happened? Venia, what just happened? No need to make a fuss. I saw the same thing. Seeing it with my own eyes brings back bad memories. Bad memories? We can't dismiss the possibility that something similar will happen again. So try not to get separated from me. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee your safety. Wait! What's happening to Medio? A flashback of the story Karya told me stops me in my tracks. But Venia shakes his head and continues walking without stopping. I will apologize for bringing you here without warning you of the dangers. But right now, this world needs you as a reason for Canus to fight. What do you mean? Even though I asked for clarification, Venia doesn't answer me. All I can do for now is follow Venia, who suggests I'll find out sooner than later. Not good. Thereafter, for better or worse, nothing unusual occurs. By the time Venia leads me to the Nexus, there is a cool crisp in the air as autumn falls upon us. Canus! Titania! The two standing at the throne gasp as they notice me.
Kotone?
What? What is the meaning of this? Why are you here? Pretty obvious. I brought her here. Oh, you mad? Not very polite of you to grab like that. Aren't you a violent one, Canus?
You brought her here? What were you thinking, Venia? You are fully aware of the current situation in Medio, do you not?
Of course. That is precisely why. While shoving away Canus's grasping hands, Venia replies indifferently. To be honest with you, I cannot stand watching you lately. I may not be the best fighter, but I can tell you aren't in the best headspace. I am honestly surprised that you are intending to protect Medio in your current state. Canus doesn't respond, as if to admit that Venia's words held some truth. Kotone, I'll give you the details later, but right now, Medio is in danger. Danger? Like what happened earlier? A quake that nearly shook the entire world. And immediately after that, a fairy was eaten by Yggdrasil. That's right. Well, aren't you well-traveled? You catch on quick. In order to counteract the threat, we need Canus' strength, but he's being a real wimp. So, in order to snap Canus out of it, I brought you all the way here. Venia lightly pushes my back, and I stumble forward. Oh. Canus! Is that blush or anger? I can't tell. It's kinda like... the hues are a little bit brighter. He's not saying anything. His expressionless helmet stares down at me. I've been dying to see him again and talk to him, but... I don't know if I'm upset or disappointed. I can't find the words now that I'm here. We face each other in silence for a minute. Canus, you know yourself and your problems better than anyone else. You've pushed me to this point. Just hurry up and get this all sorted already. Venia says as he pushes on our backs. I don't know if Venia's being mean or nice. No, I almost felt like Medio was leading me into a trap, but alright, he's just bringing us together in dangerous times. Leaving the worried Titania behind, he leads us away from the throne. The two of us walk the Crimson Tree. This is awkward. Really awkward. If only the others were here, at least we'd have something to talk about. But when it's just the two of us, I struggle to put words together. No friendly banter. And by the time Canus finally opens his mouth, the splashes of the waterfall softly hits us. Oh, this is a nice view. It's like when we fell, but now it's like evening.
I was shocked.
Huh?
That you had come here.
Oh, I'm sorry for showing up all of a sudden.
Well, that's one thing, but... I was so intent on pushing you away, yet you still came back. I figured Venia charmed you into thinking that something was wrong with me. And if so, I apologize. I'll make sure he is punished for that. It is best you hurry back to the human.
You're wrong. I softly interject, as I search for the words to say to him. He said a lot of things, but they're not the only reasons. It was my decision to come here, because I wanted to talk to you.
I have nothing to say to you. I told you everything I will ever need to. You are a human. You and I are different. You're not supposed to be here. So...
But I do. I do. I have so much to tell you. So many words, so many feelings. I have so many, Canus. Every time a word leaves my mouth, Canus's flames wave. No matter how hard he tries to hide it, his body language says it all. Sorry, I had to like clear my throat a bit. Sorry for the pause.
Does that really need to be discussed right now? Once this is all over. And someday, I can return to Enchante. Will it be too late to wait till then? Right now, this very world of Medio is facing a tremendous threat. We do not have the time to talk now. You've already noticed on the way here, correct?
Yes! I saw a fairy get eaten by Yggdrasil. And a long time ago, something similar happened, right?
How did Venya tell you this?
I shake my head in response. While you were absent from Enchante, the other patrons and I were curious about Medio. Coincidentally, Garya came out to his parents regarding his identity and was researching his origins. And as we expected, one of his ancestors was a fairy. It was Karya's great-grandmother. Then, we all heard the stories that she would tell through the word of mouth. That Medio's world tree terrorizes fairies. And that the one keeping the world tree at bay is the one known as the world tree bride. That bride, it's referring to Titania, isn't it? There's a brief moment of silence. As if to show indecisiveness, the flames on his neck wave a few times. And finally,
your view of the big picture is correct. However, that information is far outdated. The current World Tree Bride no longer has enough power to tame Yggdrasil. Meaning that I, the Fairy of Death, must take responsibility for that role. By killing fairies and offering their souls to Yggdrasil.
Canus, while gazing at the waterfall mist, begins to talk quietly about the truths of the fairy world Medio and Yggdrasil. In the beginning, it started with one small seed. A seed brought from a foreign world was planted into this soil. Its compatibility with this world was good, or rather, it may have been too good. Immediately after it was planted, the tree grew at an alarming speed. It instantly surpassed the height of a human, covering the ground and reaching the skies. It swallowed the surrounding vegetation, while incorporating various plants and flowers. Finally, it grew so big that it had covered the entirety of the world's surface. That's how Yggdrasil came to be. However, there was a side effect to becoming such a massive tree. Yggdrasil grew so big, it became unstable to sustain itself with only sunlight and water as an energy source. Then, one day, the world tree began to consume fairies. It transformed its branches and roots into tentacles to attack the fairies and to devour them. None could escape them as long as they lived in Medio. Oh god, that is scary. Like, your whole planet, your whole world is a tree, and that tree can eat you whenever it feels like it. The very branches they stood on could turn into a threat in an instant. Other healthy fairies would find this concept of death confusing. Then, 1/3 of the population had been eaten. The fairies were overwhelmed with fear. As a last resort, a sacrifice was made to tame the world tree. We got a dictionary. World tree 2, second definition. It was originally an ancient plant from the human world, Sigillaria. It mutated due to growing in a world other than its homeland. It grew too large and went out of control and went on to the top of the food chain seeking fairies for nourishment. That was the World Tree Bride. By connecting a sacrificial fairy to a device built at the nexus of Yggdrasil, the fairy's soul will be used as an efficient source of nutrition. This tactic proved highly effective. With enough nutritional supply, Yggdrasil finally ceased his attacks. Thereafter, every time a bride's soul was completely consumed, a new bride was offered. This is the self-sustaining system of Medio. So they just offer the most powerful fairy at the time, right? I'm guessing Titania being the queen of fairies is probably the most powerful. That's right. The coveted title of Fairy Queen was created in order to disguise the ugly truth of sacrifice. It was merely a mask to cover up the fact that the World Tree Bride is a sacrifice. Of course, not all fairies supported the idea of the system of sacrifice. There are those who spoke out boldly against creating a world of sacrifices. However, those voices were quickly hushed. If all it takes is a single sacrifice, as long as they weren't chosen, it only makes sense to live this way. However, after a long history of sacrifices, there was one fairy that dared to change the world and waged war against Yggdrasil. The Fairy of Death, Banshee. The Fairy of Death that is born once in a generation. She is my predecessor. Oh, okay. And the eldest sister of Venia and Titania, born at the same time and the place as the two. After Titania took the queen's throne and offered her soul to the World Tree, she decided to fight for her younger sister and challenge Yggdrasil on her own. What happened to Miss Banshee? Well, I mean, Canus is here, so...
The fact that I stand here today as her successor is the very answer.
In other words,
after the war that lasted 3 whole days, she was eaten and annihilated by Yggdrasil. Even with the power of the Fairy of Death, Yggdrasil, the world itself could not be defeated.
Canus says as he looks up at the sky as if he was talking about his own defeat. No way! She tried to save Titania and fought desperately, right? Even then.
That's right. I cannot blame her for wanting to save her own sister. However, Banshee was too thoughtless. She did not foresee what her recklessness in battle would bring to the world. Rather, it may have occurred to her, but in spite of it, you probably could not watch your sister be sacrificed without drawing her sword.
Banshee was, in fact, defeated. Despite that, she had left a deep wound in Yggdrasil, the result of which is the destruction of this dreadful system known as the World Tree Bride. Because of her attack, the throne was damaged and the bride was rendered dysfunctional. For example, Yggdrasil would normally extract 10 units of energy from the bride per month. However, after that incident, the damaged throne was clearly supplying less energy. Compared to previously, the amount of energy it was able to extract plummeted to just 1 unit per month. In other words, from a certain perspective, Banshee's resistance was not in vain, but Obviously, at this point, Yggdrasil would not be satisfied with so little of the Queen's soul. Oh. I'm guessing it probably extended Titania's life, but, like, didn't completely solve the problem. The damaged world tree, in order to heal its wounds, instinctively. Just as it ran rampant in ancient times, it began devouring fairies relentlessly. With my predecessor's death, I was born in the midst of it all. As I came into being, the first thing I heard were the screams of the devoured fairies. I opened my eyes, and the first things I saw were the faces of the fairies drenched in despair. The Fairy of Death is born with some of the knowledge of the past Fairies of Death. That was no exception for me. Without knowing for myself, but driven by the lingering memories, I gazed at the fleeting fairies, clenched my sword, and swung down. The memories were pleading with me that even if I fought Yggdrasil, it would be impossible to defeat it. If so, as a knight that protects Medio, what am I to do? The answer I arrived at was to kill fairies with my own hands. This is the role of the Fairy of Death. By killing fairies, we return their souls to the world. Rather than Yggdrasil devouring the fairies, it's far more efficient for my killing to make the necessary offerings. In other words, the more I kill with my own hands, the less casualties we have in the end.
Thus, I continue to cut down fairies.
I had no time to choose. No time for my heart to fight reality. As soon as I was born, I stabbed, without a sense of my own will. Without knowing what I wanted to do, or what I should do. Without anybody guiding me. I cut, and cut some more. Until Yggdrasil was tamed, I kept killing fairies. I killed. And Yggdrasil ate. Eventually, when Yggdrasil became silent, nearly 1/10 of the fairy population remained. Holy crap. This was the cost of finally satisfying Yggdrasil. But that was not the end of everything. Yggdrasil, though it entered into a temporary dormancy, as long as the World Tree Bride was dysfunctional, Yggdrasil would one day awaken. Alright, World Tree Bride, another name for the Fairy Queen. A bride in name only, in reality, she offers her own life to force the World Tree to stop its rampage. In other words, one chosen to become a sacrifice to provide the World Tree its nourishment. Alright. That is why, after discussing with Titania, I decided to continue killing fairies. I see a fairy, its death, and execute it. That is my life as the Fairy of Death. All is for the protection of Medio. To maintain peace in my home of Medio. My words were cut off. A moment of silence ensued as if to process the tragic story. The spray from the waterfall splashed upon my cheek like a spray of blood.
Do you understand, Kotone? This is the price we pay for Banshee's reckless actions. The tragedy resulting from fighting fate.
Banshee, the predecessor to Canus as the Fairy of Death. She was the eldest sister to Titania and Venia. Oh, so they were a trio. Now they're just a duo.
Her genuine and kind desire to save her sister is no consolation at this point. Her actions at the end of the day brought forth even more misfortune and death. There's no need for you to pity my destiny of killing fellow fairies for the entirety of my existence. All living beings have a purpose. It just so happens that this is mine.
Fairy of Death. A fairy that kills any being in the fairy world, with the ability to return their soul to the world. The greatest and only combat force of the fairy world. Only one exists in the fairy world and inherits past memories and duties when a new one is born.
There is no need for you to resent or grieve. I may not have chosen to be born, but I have chosen my own path. That's right. The one who chose this path is none other than myself.
Canus Espada, third definition. To protect the world from the World Tree going out of control, he killed countless fairies and returned them to the World Tree. He still prophesies death and kills fairies regularly. A black knight who possesses a kind heart, yet burdened with a heavy task. Canus is satisfied with this decision. With such definite statements, I, without having first-hand experience, am unable to say anything further.
Even I don't want to swing this sword to kill the weak. I want to use it to protect my loved ones. But this is the only thing I can do right now.
He speaks quietly. Canus, this kind knight, is trying to fulfill his role and is accepting reality for what it is. His strength is admirable, yet somewhat dangerous.
I actually did not intend to tell you this much. But I told you anyway, out of respect for you coming all this way, out of concern for me.
Canus squares back up with me. Then he gently touches my tear-covered cheek.
Those eyes. Sympathy, compassion, and sorrow. I never wanted you, of all people, to look at me with such eyes. As you are my beacon of comfort, I never wanted to make you feel this way.
And there's no way for me to find out what sort of emotions were in Canus's eyes as he tells me these things. Whether he's crying, or grieving, or in pain, without knowing any of it.
I wanted to see you at that quaint cafe as usual. And you welcomed me in with nothing but bright, gentle eyes. However, now that you know everything, that dream may never come true.
I always thought of Canus as a gentle person. He loves flowers and protects the weak. A person that'll always lend a hand. I have always believed that. That's probably why I was so shocked to see him cutting down a fairy that day. I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to believe it was an imposter. Because it just didn't match up with the person I knew very well. But I was mistaken. I place my trembling palm over Canus's hand that touches my cheek. The gentle hand that cares for the flower bed is also a powerful hand that wields a sword. What I see is both versions of Canus, all of him.
I don't intend to hold anything against you, but let me just say one thing.
The inherent kindness and the mission given at his birth. The dual hand that carries this contradiction gazes deeply at me with invisible eyes.
Kotone, why have you come here?
Because
Why have you not chosen to stay out of this and wait for me at the cafe? Why? Why? Why must you know?
he sounded neither angry or accusatory. Rather, his tone suggested that he has lost something dear to him. I quietly clear my throat. In order to respond to him, I was worried about you. At the end of my internal debate, I was worried about you. What came out of my mouth was my own honest feeling.
Worried?
According to me, you are an important person. No matter what you say to me, I will worry about you, Canus.
I understand why you have come. I'm pleased to hear and appreciate the fact that you came here thinking of me. But still, what I desire of you is one thing only.
What is that?
I want you to wait for me at Enchante, wearing that same smile for the day I return. That is all. I ask for nothing else.
Is that really what you want from me? Isn't that what you want from Enchante? Canus shuts up as if he was called out. And I, as if to press him further, take a step forward to close our distance. Like a mirror image to his wiping my tears earlier, I gently reach both my hands to the cheek area of his helmet. Canus! Gently, I move my hands that are placed at his cheek. The helmet that was covering Canus's face. The helmet that Grandpa once told me to try on. Wait. Fell to the ground and made a dry sound. Look! Look at me, Canus Espada!
What are you?
Shut up and look at me! Look with your own eyes who's standing in front of you. You told me once that humans and non-humans are different. That I should face that reality.
That's...
And I did. Ever since the day you told me. You are non-human and I am human. You are the customer and I am the owner. There's definitely a separator between us. So when you rejected me, I kept thinking about it. During that period, I caused a lot of trouble for the regulars. I couldn't focus on my job, and I made them worry about me, but I decided to come to see you after some thinking, and then some more thinking. Out of my own selfishness, out of my own will. Regardless of human or non-human, I wanted to come see you on my own. That is why I'm here now, looking at you. So, please look at me too, Canus. Oh. Don't look away! No, I thought like when she took off the helmet there's gonna be like some magic happening and like he's gonna see his face, but this is cute too. I am not my grandfather. I am not Soanawaki. I am the owner of Enchante. Kotone Awake. Look at me. For Canus, Grandpa's Enchante was a very important place. He grieved his death. Enough to long for a replacement.
Kotone, Awaki, are you telling me to face reality? As the fairy killer feared and shunned by the occupants of Medio, that the sanctuary I have finally reached no longer exists. You are telling me to face this reality through these invisible eyes?
That's right. Grandpa's Cafe no longer exists. Aside from Titania and Venia, Canus is feared by many of the fairies. As sure as flowers bloom in the morning, or the afternoon sunshine, or the colors of the trees at sundown, or the night air chill. As the savior knight of the world, he spent his days alone, carrying his sword. Confronting such a person with reality may be cruel, but I still need to say this. In order for him to acknowledge me, I am not my grandfather. As much as I want to carry on his wishes, I don't think I can fully encompass him. That's why I need you to accept me. The evolution of Enchante, me, and my cafe.
Kotone.
I let go of his hand. But if I do so too brazenly, I'm afraid he'll disappear. Without stepping away from him, I place my cheek on his chest and softly speak to him. I want you to come to the cafe. I want you to come back. Not to a place where you have to hide, but a place where you can be yourself. I want to be with you where you belong. Silence ensues for a while. All we can hear is the sound of the waterfall drifting between him and I. How? Oh, sorry.
How pitiful of me! Who am I to laugh at Ignis when he first met you? Kotone is right, Ignis. You need not accept everything. It has not even settled within myself. I still see Suwan's shadow on occasion. For now, we should see them as different owners. Suwan as Suwan and Kotone as Kotone. I never would have thought that person who was most particular about that cafe was myself.
Canus places his hand on my shoulders and stares at me with such an intensity.
You are bound to what it means to be the owner of Enchante. And I have always been oblivious to everything. Kotone and Lord Sawan are so different. I know.
I don't have a beard. I don't have any of that. Without breaking eye contact, he looks straight at me. Are we that different? I mean, age-wise, yes.
Yes, very different. Lord Swan stood like a grand tree, carrying a deep, unwavering profoundness. Kotone, you are like a single flower, catching the eyes of all and easing souls. You possess such a gentleness.
Yeah, like I use as a example of a tree and a flower. That's also like, it just reminds me of like more fairy lore. That was a little too much to take in, but
You had a different take on cafe ownership. Lord Swan was extremely loose. He decided the prices for all kinds of items in the moment based on the mood. You, on the other hand, care a great deal, and your menu is very detailed.
that's probably the normal thing to do as an owner. I can't help but let out a chuckle. Canus and I smile finally. And I smile at each other? Okay, that sounds a little weird. Smile at each other, and our smiles continue to grow. So much smiling.
And because of the differences in gender, there's a clear difference in your beauty.
Well, I hope so.
Compared to Lord Swan, Kotone is much more slender and soft, and everything you do is lovable.
Oh god, just say you love each other already, god.
Yes, you are adorable.
Oh, wait. Is this really that necessary right now?
Of course, you're the one that told me to see your differences clearly, Kotone.
I did, but
What else? Let's see.
I can feel Canus's gaze. Oh god, he's gonna look at other womanly things on her. Other soft womanly things. It's like the time when he pretended to be asleep. But he's a lot more serious now and oozing some sort of emotion. Canus? It's a little embarrassing to be stared at like this. Maybe that's enough for now. Hey, you're the one who started it.
I refuse. Your adorable features, your beautiful eyes, your deep compassion and strong conviction. How did I not notice this? And I looked at you as a human being. You're so different yet.
I wonder if Canus realizes how much he's embarrassing himself. And that I am blushing at each one of his words.
There was a gentleness about Lord Swan's Enchante which always felt like an embrace. Kotone, your Enchante has an intimacy that makes us care for each other. Of course, these things that I cannot compare and say which is better, but Canus looks at me from a very close distance. Oh wait, sorry.
Turn that off. Take off the helmet. Canus looks at me from a very close distance. His breath nearly touches me as he talks.
Regardless, I love your cafe.
Oh my god, just say you love her. Gasp.
No, maybe I just never realized it. Maybe I loved it from the very beginning.
His face draws near. A subtle warmth touches my cheek. Perhaps this is because he is softly placing his cheek onto mine. How close are they? There's like fire in Kotone's face. That'd be a little bit dazzling.
What I can say with certainty is that spending time with you at Enchante is the most important thing to me. I want to protect those days. I would never want to lose those days. I do not know what will become of Medio in the future, but I will return to your cafe. I promise.
Yes. I'll help you. And I'm sure everyone else will as well. Miser, Il, Ignis, Rindo, Karya, even Kororo. Well, all of us together, there's nothing we can't accomplish.
Yes, you are correct. I cannot wait to be back at the cafe. My beloved Enchante.
After thinking of Enchante, which he has not visited in a while, Canus slightly pulls away from me. I quietly look up at the sky and start to speak.
I love the sound of that ringing doorbell when I walk inside. And I love the sound of your voice that welcomes me immediately afterward. And the front entrance decorated with the flowers I had nurtured and you had picked.
Canus' thoughts keep spewing from his mouth. So much love. Those words tickle me a little. But they are very gentle and I love them too.
And needless to say, I love the usual espresso that you brew, and of course, I love you too.
God, finally. Huh? Oh, now he's embarrassed. Good. Canus tries to stop the words that spill out by covering the area where his mouth should be. Just shove that fire back down. But his actions further prove that what I just heard wasn't a mistake.
No, that was just a natural.
Natural? Oh, don't try to be all Sundari about it. Like, no, I would never say that. Baka. I suddenly hear my heartbeat loudly. My breathing and train of thought halt. Only the sound of my beating heart. I can't see his face. However, I can understand how Canus feels right now, and painfully so. Hey, Canus? Will you say something?
Sure, this silence is not doing us any good. We will talk about the weather, okay?
Because, undoubtedly, whatever's inside his chest must be the exact same warm feeling that I have. Vinia? Are you done talking?
Medio.
How long have you been there? Well, I don't mind telling you, but the answer will only bring you grief. I came to Medio with such determination. Yet my face turns so red out of embarrassment that I want to run back home instantly. Let's try to forget how long I've been watching you two. Personally, I'd have given you an applause for all of that. Why an applause? Venia laughs bitterly at my piercing eyes and breaks into a light smile. No, really, from the bottom of my heart, as far as I know, I've never seen Canus like this. As a friend, I'm honestly a little happy. Canus and I face each other subconsciously in response to those words.
I am surprised. I never thought I would ever hear such words come from your mouth.
Humph. Just as you tried to change yourself, so did I, that's all. Venia's smiling face was much more beautiful than his usual stern, cold look. Kotone. I am so glad that you are here. I am so glad that you are owner of Enchante. But... right. Change. You must change. Venia? Venia's expression changes. His eyes are filled with sorrow. Before I can ask him what's going on, he turns away from us and begins to walk. Afterwards, he says he needs to check on the area that was gouged out of Yggdrasil for any abnormalities. After parting ways with Canus, I accompany Venia and return to Titania. I tell her that I heard everything regarding what happened to the fairy world Medio. Tell her of my conversation with Canus. I see. You found out the truth about this fairy world Medio. Titania takes a small sigh and nods with glazed eyes. The death of fairies is the price we pay. I kept it under wraps from you, thinking you had no reason to know. But I've heard that, because of it, you and Canus had a falling out. I can honestly say this. I'm sorry. It's okay. I was just being nosy. There's no need for you to apologize. In response to Titania's lowered head, I wave my hand with a strong conviction. She is right, sister. You have absolutely no need to apologize. Rather, I believe you should be thanked. What? Sounds like there's more to this. Kotone, do you know the meaning of this? What? I wonder what he's talking about. Venia smirks. No matter how I look at it, he must be referring to my talk with Canus. But that wasn't something worth telling everyone, so I decided to pretend to be ignorant. Besides, right now we should be thinking about how to face the dangers Medio is threatened with. More importantly, Titania, Venia, about the problems Medio is facing. Is there any way that the people of Enchante and I can help in any capacity? Kotone! Canus is a very important person to both me and Enchante. If he is in trouble, we want to be of help. Plus, Titania, Venia, simply as your friends. If there's anything I can do, I want to contribute to your cause. Having said that, I don't have any powers, so there's not much I can do. Thank you, my friend from another world, for caring so much about Oz. It'll be okay. My regular customers are all extremely powerful. With everyone here, we should be able to find a way to tame Yggdrasil.
Yes, you're right. There's no point in being in despair forever. We can grieve when we're out of options. In that case, I hate to rely on you for everything, but...
Please go rally up everyone in Enchante. Wait a second. What was supposed to be the rest of Titania's thought is gently cut off by Venya's words. Or voice, rather.
Nia, what's the matter?
He's facing down, looking somewhat tormented. And the words that followed did sound rather painful. Would gathering everyone from Enchante truly stop Yggdrasil's terror and fairy eating? I don't know for sure yet, but...
However, there has to be some sort of way.
Medio quietly shakes his head in response to our words. Your uncertainty will not do. You must be certain, absolute, at all costs. In order to eliminate the terror facing us, we must not have the slightest doubt. And no matter how powerful our team, if there is no absolute guarantee, I cannot back any idea other than my own. Your own? As if to respond to my muttering, he positions himself between me and Titania and stares at me dead in the eye. Kotone, let me ask you once and for all. Will you save this world? Will you save my sister? Even if it may be a treacherous path. Even if it may be a path of sacrifice. His eyes are unwavering. Though I don't know its true meaning, it's clear that he wants to save Titania and change this world of his. So, with uncompromising determination, I respond to him. I want to. I will save this world. It may sound naive, but I believe in Canus and the people of Enchante. So, despite the sacrifices you're referring to, I want to save them.
Kotone.
I see. Your endless soft-hearted nature is just like Canus and suits you well. Heh, I'll take that as a compliment. He extends his right hand for a handshake. I smile and take his hand. I'm sorry, Kotone. In an instant, with a snap of Venya's fingers, he pulls Titania out from behind him, and a replacement. I am thrown into the empty throne. I knew it! He was giving such vibes! Huh? And before I can realize the truth, a horrific sensation as terrifying tentacles entangle me relentlessly from all sides of the throne. Oh, we can see her legs. Kind of. Huh?
Kotone.
Kotone! I have no clue what just happened. A pale-faced Titania tries to run towards me, but Venya grabs her arm tightly and never lets go.
What did you do, Nia? Let me go! Kotone is...
Get back, sister. If you get close, you'll soil the plan.
Plan? Are you the one that released me? A human being would never be able to replace a World Tree Bride. This won't solve anything.
Uh-oh. You don't tell me. Being siblings is rather inconvenient. My intentions are revealed a bit too quickly for my taste. Shaken by an ever-violent quake, Venya, with his usual expressionless face, speaks quietly. At this rate, Kotone will definitely die. In which case, he will surely come to save you, will he not? No, they will. That's right, they'll do whatever they can to save you. Even if it's them against the world. They will surely destroy this absurd world. They will kill this disgusting world tree so that we shall never again need to make these sickening sacrifices. Nia, how could you? The Kang! Kotone! Yes, yes, scream to your heart's content, Kotone, so that it'll reach Canus and Enchante. Canus, as the fairy of death, has been cutting down the buds of terror. However, merely removing the buds will never kill any tree. One must cut the trunk and sever the roots. That is all I want for him to do. Venya smiles again, as if to hide the pain, the torment, and the conflict, with the same face that called him a friend. I believe in him, that he will kill Yggdrasil in order to save her. Okay, we're in Canus's perspective now. And where is he? He's just somewhere, just cutting.
So, this is it. This is where the wormhole opened. There's a hole. Nice circular hole.
Just as he heard from Venya, this must be the aftermath of the wormhole. In front of me is a large hole gouged out from the trunk. Considering the size of Yggdrasil, it is a negligible wound. Regardless, it was large enough for Yggdrasil to recognize that it had been attacked.
If I was off by a little bit, it would not have stimulated it, but that is a moot point.
As I mutter to myself, I realize something. Surrounding the gouged out bark is a tiny white powdery substance scattered about.
Ash? Why are there ashes in a place like this?
I look around, but I can't see anything that would create this much ash. In this world of Medio, there's no such thing as fire. But it looks somewhat familiar to me. But as I try to figure it out, what it is, my surroundings suddenly roar with life.
Not again!
The Yggdrasil's roar is gradually occurring more frequently. The chances of it not waking is slim to none.
In that case, anything can happen at this point. I must send Kotone back immediately.
The largest quake I've felt yet. Engulfs my surroundings enough to cut me off entirely.
Shag! I can't do this anymore. What is happening?
Wait! You all, stay still!
The fairies that were hiding in the area come rushing out. And in their path, Oh, hello. What is this? I was expecting the tentacle monster. Like a blooming flower, a mysterious shadow appears.
Huh? Is that the queen?
No! Stop! Do not go near him!
Help me, my queen! Yggdrasil has been...
The moment the shadow engulfed her, the fairy tried to scatter, but it was taken captive and soon disappeared.
My queen? Why? What happened?
Watch out! She may resemble the queen, but she is not Titania.
That's right. I know this person. 500 years ago, she even devoured my predecessor, Banshee. Okay. I thought like maybe this was supposed to be Banshee, because like she has like a similar flower on her head that like Titania and Venia have, but she is the embodiment of all the past World Tree's brides.
Soul Eater.
A dictionary term. Soul Eater. World Tree brides of the past that have been reduced to this form, appearing as part of the World Tree to consume nourishment. It kind of tricks the fairies. Like, trying to think of, like, that term. Like, animal science, like, kind of like mimicry, I guess? As soon as I recognize the threat, I sprint to to protect the fairies, the opposite of what I usually do for them. I leap in front of them and try to block the piercing shot. I managed to blow it away, but there's more of them, oh god. Similar bodies immediately start to rise from the surrounding area.
There are too many!
As I fight to protect the fleeing fairies. A medley of flowers begin to rain down above my head. From the flowers I hear a familiar voice. Can you hear me, Canus?
Venia? Good timing. I have important news. Soul Eaters have appeared near where the wormhole opened the other day. Yggdrasil's awakening is imminent.
Yes, I am aware. Yggdrasil has taken in a foreign entity, a human, and will now seek out even more sustenance to protect itself.
What? What? Venia? What in the world are you saying? Took in a human? What happened? No! What did you do to Kotone? Venia!
My rage-filled scream echoes. And while my sword cuts down the enemies, rest assured, Kotone Awake is right here. Venia's soft voice melted into battle. As the new World Tree bride. Alright, chapter 4, the final chapter! Oh man. See how this ends. God, the love, the betrayal. I kinda had bad vibes from Venia at like the beginning of the chapter where he's like, come with me. I'm like, no. Isn't the world in danger? But then she was like acting all nice, so I was like, okay, he just wanted to bring us together. Good friend. And then, but no, ended up betraying us anyway. Alright, anyway. So, we've been going for quite a while, so we will get to the final chapter of Canus in the next episode. I hope you guys had a relaxing time, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.